Great. So thank you for being with us and welcome to our first event of the year. At the Greenhouse, we are exploring new subjects every month through talks, panel, workshops, and our end goal is to create and invest in new ventures that solve a real problem and have a lot of traction in order to bring that asset back into the group. Today we are thrilled to have Charles with us, one of the best French programmer. He's gonna talk to you about the basics of Web 3.0 and what we can do with it. This is probably one of the largest digital revolutions since Google launch. And we hope that you all get inspired and come back to us with amazing project for our accelerator and our startup studio. So without saying anything else, I will leave the floor to Charles. We'll take the answer at the end, so you can put it in the chat. Don't hesitate to comment. We have many people on the chat to respond.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. First of all, thank you very much for the invitation. I'm very glad to be here today. Today we are going to talk about a specific subject, which is Bitcoin and the underlying technology, which is blockchain. As a disclaimer, I won't give you any tips about how to make money, how to invest, buy or sell crypto, because I don't want to be responsible for any win or losses of any of your investments. I just want to give you a clear understanding of how it does work in order to demystify what is blockchain. Okay. So I founded 25, which is what I like to call a digital factory. We build every day custom-made web apps to answer our customers' needs. Basically, we have startups, we have founders, we have great companies that come to us with an idea, and we help them get this idea through a concrete website, concrete application, and that's my everyday job. And I started learning crypto from a technical perspective, from a technical point of view, and that's what I'm going to give you today. Some info about what is blockchain, how does it work, what we call smart contracts, what is an NFT, how does all of this work together to have the hype it has today. So it all started with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is just a digital currency, no more, no less. Just a technology that has been created to exchange some value. First of all, in the current world, when we want to exchange money, there is always middlemen, banks, governments that define all the rules for your money. And when Bitcoin was created, its goal was to delete every middleman so that we don't rely on a central authority. We just rely on a peer-to-peer network which is decentralized and can be trusted in a world where everyone can not necessarily trust each other. So it was created in 2009 and 2009 in January. The author of Bitcoin is called Satoshi Nakamoto. It's just a pseudonym. We don't know, this person does not really exist. We believe there is 2, 3, maybe 4 people behind this pseudonym. And Satoshi Nakamoto is a name used as the author of the Bitcoin white paper. If you like science or have some mathematical background, I suggest you take the time to read. I think it's 20 pages, maybe less, and all the concepts of Bitcoin are explained. Not as deep as we are going to see, but it gives you a good understanding. So, to create a Bitcoin network, we first need a wallet. So that for any currency, you need a wallet to store your account. Your wallet is just like your identification bank account number. Then you will need what we call a distributed ledger. A ledger is just like a book with all the transactions. It's a big database of all the transactions. And all this relies on a peer-to-peer network. First of all, I will explain you what is a hashing function. It's very important because it's the basic of all the technologies of blockchain and Bitcoin. A hashing function is just a function where whatever the input you give him, you always get a result with a fixed length of character. Whatever the size of the input, whatever it's a string, it's a document, it's a video, you can get a hash from pretty much everything. For example, let's say you want to go to the airport and you need a PCR test. Just I'm in this case right now to go back to France, and let's say I want to make a false PCR certificate. So I'll take a good PCR certificate. I can get a signature out of it with an hashing function. And if I change, for example, if I alterate the document to change the date, the signature will be completely different. So this function is used to identify documents, strings, and to check if it has been changed or not. For example, if we get the same function and we just change Shaloub with a capital C, the results is totally different. So that's the basic principle of the hashing function. You put something on it and you get a fixed number character at the output. So let's talk about the wallet. Given your wallet or your IBAN, identification bank account number, you will have a private key. A private key is just a file with some characters in it that will allow you to authorize any outgoing transaction from your wallet. This is just some random numbers that makes your private key. Out of your private key, you can create what we call a public key. A public key, as you may know, you may guess, it's public, so everyone can know your public key. And your private key from your private key, you can obtain your public key, but not the opposite. And this public key is used to build your wallet address. So in the world, each time you will exchange money, you will simply give your wallet address, and to authorize transaction, you will sign. You will sign in the first place a transaction. Let's say we have a transaction from wallet 1, which is your wallet, to wallet number 2 of 10 Bitcoins. You will use your private key to create a signature, and then you will send this signature along with the transaction, and so that the network, the peer-to-peer network, will be able to, along with your public key, which is knowledgeable from everybody, they are in capacity to check that the signature as well being created from your private key. And then the transaction is authorized and can be done. Next, this is a fun fact. There is websites that randomly generates address and private keys, and they hope to find randomly one wallet address that has a positive amount of Bitcoin so that they can steal it. and there is plenty of websites. But something which is important, you don't have to get a connection or to have access to internet to create a wallet address. You can randomly create a wallet address with your private key on your computer with a program, and your wallet will be known to the blockchain of Bitcoin only if there is at least one transaction coming into your wallet. So you can create as many wallet addresses as you want, only the wallet address that are attached to a given transaction in the blockchain are knowledgeable to everyone. So that's really important. And some people might say, okay, but I can try to generate billions and billions of wallet address, but the chance to find one wallet address that is used with an amount of Bitcoin is like being struck by lightning 100 times in a row. So I think today it's not going to happen. So let's say about a transaction. The way transaction works, and as I told you before, Bitcoin relies on a public ledger, which only store transactions, only transactions. So let's say you have your wallet number one, and you received from a transaction from another wallet 10 Bitcoin, and from another transaction 5 Bitcoins. So the total amount of your wallet is 15 Bitcoin. You want to transfer 12 Bitcoin to wallet number two. You will give this transaction and say, I received 10 Bitcoin from T1, so add it to T3 to give 10 Bitcoin. Then you will add 2 another Bitcoin, and then you will create another transaction, which is what we call the change. It's like when you give a bill of 10 to the cashier and you give back the change, you get a new transaction, which will be 3 Bitcoin. The idea in this schema is that the amount of Bitcoin you own it's only the sum of all the unspent transaction that you received. And so we call that UTXO as for unspent transaction output. So there is no ledger with this address as this amount of Bitcoin. We always need to compute every unspent transaction output to say, okay, this wallet address has that many Bitcoin. And so the Bitcoin is an immutable ledger. What makes it immutable? It's organized into blocks. So let's say you have the first block, which is block 1, 2, 3, 4, with a certain number of transactions. Those transactions are taken, added to a block. We get a signature with the hash function we've seen before. And this block is added to the blockchain, and the next block will include the previous signature of block 1, 2, 3, 4. And so block 1, 2, 3, 5 will include the previous signature of the previous block, and the outputting signature will be done with a lot of stuff, including transaction and the previous signature, etc., etc. So each time if you want to modify an information in a previous block, you need to recompute the hash, then to change the signature here, to recompute the hash, to change the signature, and so it makes it immutable because every node on the peer-to-peer network has a copy of the blockchain and can check if any signature has changed. As of today, we have approximately 700,000 blocks on the blockchain, and the total amount represents approximately 324 gigabytes of storage if you want to download the whole blockchain. The blockchain relies on a peer-to-peer network. A peer-to-peer network is just it's just computers around all around the world. You can be part of the peer-to-peer network if you want. You just have to take a computer, to plug it to the internet, to install the blockchain client, and then you will be part of the blockchain peer-to-peer network. The idea is that all the workloads and all the tasks are evenly distributed among all the computers. Now let's talk about something very, very important and very debated all around the world. It's the way we add a new block to the blockchain. To add a new block to the blockchain, we need what we call a consensus. A consensus is what is the rule to add a new block and who has the right to add a new block, so that the ledger is the same everywhere and that all the ledger stays immutable and distributed. When we add a block, we get all the information and we ask a computer to solve a mathematical problem, which is really difficult to solve, but very easy to verify. So that's the basic of what we call the proof of work. The proof of work is the consensus algorithm used by Bitcoin and many other blockchains. So as for Bitcoin, the problem that we ask every node in the peer-to-peer network to solve is to compute the signature of the block, this signature here. To compute this signature, we get a lot of information, the previous signature, all the transaction, etc., and we add what we call a nonce. A nonce, it is just a random number, and you will try to check with, if I get nonce 1, what is the output? If I get nonce equals 2, what is the output, etc., until you can find an outputting signature with 20 leading zeros. So as of today, a node may do approximately billions of iterations to find a proper solutions. So it's very important to know you have maybe more than 3 million computers powering the blockchain technology, and they are all trying all the time to guess what is a good nonce that output 20 leading zeros to add a block to the blockchain. And what is the incentive? Why you will want to take one of your computer and put it on the blockchain and make it work to expense energy, to expense hardware for this? It's quite profitable for some people because each time you find a solution and you add the block to the blockchain, you will be rewarded with 6.25 Bitcoins that are newly that are added to the currently supply. So each time a new block is added, there is 6.25 Bitcoins added to the freshly newly mined Bitcoin. That's why we call it Bitcoin mining. And plus this Coinbase reward, the miner retrieve a fee taken from all the transactions. So when you want to make a transaction, if you want to get this transaction added quite quickly, you will give a higher fee so that miners will say, oh, okay, this transaction has a high fee, so I will add it first in my block. And if I found a solution, I will get a reward. So that's how Bitcoins are created. At the very beginning, Bitcoins, the Coinbase rewards was 50 Bitcoins. And the idea is that every 210,000 blocks, we divide the Coinbase reward by 2. As of today, there is 18 million Bitcoins in circulation, so that have been created. And every 4 years, every 210,000 blocks, the Coinbase reward is divided by 2. So it's approximately every 4 years. And we expect to have the last Bitcoin, the last Coinbase that is not 0 until 2140. The idea is that then all the miners or the nodes in the peer-to-peer network will only get a fee from transaction fee and won't get a Coinbase reward. And we expect the Bitcoin to be at a highest price, so that miners will keep working for the network because it will still be a good incentive. And the max supply will be 21 million BTC. That's why when we say Bitcoin is a currency with a fixed number of circulating supply, that is the reason why. And this model is quite smart because it makes the Bitcoin valuable as of today, because Bitcoin is around $40,000, more or less. I don't watch it every day. And this is something really important. I insist on it because there is a lot of debate. If we take the 3.8 million computers all around the world, it represents in energy consumptions 200 TWh per year. So if Bitcoin were a country, it will be the 23rd in terms of energy consumption. So that's why I call it an ecological disaster. It's amazing in the wrong term, in the wrong sense. That's something really important. The key point, so Bitcoin is a digital currency. It's based on blockchain, and the 4 main properties that it's immutable, distributed, decentralized, and trusted. The consensus to add a new block is reached with what we call the proof of work, the mathematical problem each miner tries to solve to add a new block. Each time a new block is added, new Bitcoins are created. That's why we call it Bitcoin mining. A wallet is obtained from a hash of your public key. Your private key is used to authorize outgoing transactions. So, as its name, only keep your private key to yourself, because anyone who gets your private key has total control over your phones. And the Bitcoin blockchain only store transactions. That's the only information that's in the blockchain. And the hash function is a one-way mathematical function that outputs a fixed length output, whatever the size of the input. So now, after Bitcoin, there was other blockchain, and there was mostly Ethereum, which was the most innovative blockchain after Bitcoin. So Ethereum takes the same characteristic as blockchain, with a wallet, with a public distributed ledger, with a peer-to-peer network, and it simply adds the ability to store programs on this blockchain. That's it. We take blockchain technology, we added the ability to store and execute programs on the blockchain, and you get what Ethereum did. It was created on 2015. Let's talk about a smart contract example. I created, just for the example, it's not production ready, but it's for the example. Let's say we want to create what we call a shadow coin. Tomorrow, in your startup studio, you want to create equity based on stablecoin that will rely on Ethereum. That's, for example, that's just an example. You will have a variable, which is a minter, the person who deployed the smart contracts. Anyone can deploy a smart contract to the blockchain. You will have a list of balances, which is just this address as this much stablecoin, and you will basically have those two info, and you have two functions. The first function, which is mint, I say, okay, I want to add 1,000 stablecoin into the current supply. I will mint it, and only the minter, so the creator of the smart contract, can do it. And you have a function send, which is available to everyone. That's allow everyone to transfer stablecoin from one address to another. That's a basic smart contract. This smart contract is written in a language called Solidity, and once it is compiled, it produces what we call bytecode. This bytecode is stored on the blockchain. So to work with smart contract, we need a currency, which is Ether, with what we also call ETH. The deployment, storage, and execution of a smart contract, anyone can create it, costs what we call gas. Gas is a unity that is defined by the complexity of the smart contract, if I want to deploy it, or the complexity is the amount of computation unit I need to execute this or this function. And so the amount of gas will give me an execution price. So let's say it's 30,000 to execute 30,000 gas to execute this mint function. This is a fixed number defined by the code. You will then input a gas price. You are responsible to say, okay, I want to execute this function on the smart contract, and I will give, for example, 0.00001 ETH per gas, and then you multiply it by the current Ethereum Ether price in dollar, and you get the execution price. So gas price is defined by supply and demand, and Ethereum, as of today, has big congestion problems because the Ether price is going so high, it's around $4,000, that when you want today execute a smart contract, it roughly costs $300 because people set high gas prices so that the smart contracts gets executed. Whereas if you say a low gas price, your smart contract may never be executed at all. All the code written in Solidity and deployed as bytecode on the Ethereum blockchain is executed under what we call the Ethereum virtual machine, just an environment for executing code. And Solidity is a programming language to write smart contracts on the EVM. Ethereum, when it was launched, there were a lot of smart contracts that were created. So Ethereum came with this idea of what we call Ethereum improvement proposal. So everybody who works closely or not with the Ethereum blockchain can suggest some improvement for the smart contract, for the Ethereum blockchain. It's a community world where everyone can participate. And those Ethereum improvement proposals can lead to what we call ERC, for Ethereum request for comment, which are standards in for smart contracts in the Ethereum blockchains. As of today, there is roughly 20 standards, and we will focus on 2 today. The first one is ERC20. ERC20 token standards is just a standard to create what we call a token. For example, you have the Ethereum blockchain, and everybody can create a smart contract following the ERC20 standard to create any coin they want. For example, for the information, there was a coin that was named after the Netflix shows Squid Game. So some people came with the idea, oh, let's create a Squid coin. They created. They made a lot of communication after this coin. People say, oh, okay, I will make a lot of money with this coin. So its price raises. Once the price was high enough, the creator of the smart contract retrieved all the fund to himself, what we call a rug pull. So they left retrieving all the money. And this is why every time you will interact with smart contract, you need to check if it has been audited, if it's well known, if it's used by a lot of people, and mainly you need to check if it's a scam or not. The second standard is ERC 721, which is for non-fungible tokens. So let's have a closer look at those two standards. The first one, you create token. For example, if I give you 10 Shalom coin and then you distribute one to each people in the room, we won't be able to say, oh, this Shalom coin has first belonged to this person and this person, etc., etc. It's just exchangeable money with no difference between each token. NFT is just a way to create tokens which are unique. So basically, you can create each token has its own properties, and you can just transfer token. You cannot sell or exchange non-fungible token between people. So let's have a deeper look on what we call NFT. So in digital art, NFT gives the proof of ownership. That's very important when, for example, when you buy a masterpiece from a well-known painter, for example, a Picasso, it will have value only if you are able to prove that it's a genuine masterpiece, and you can prove you're the right owner of this piece. NFT was very famous digital art because we can present a digital art on the web. Everyone can copy, print, make whatever they want. But NFT gives artists a way to give the ownership to only one person. So NFT can be used for pretty much every asset which is unique. For example, we can say boarding pass in planes can be tokenized as NFT. Invoices, cards, ID paper, etc., etc. Everything is unique can be tokenized. The creator of an NFT gets a fee each time its NFT is transferred from one person to another. For example, let's say tomorrow you want to create a set of pictures for a greenhouse. You will first get some money from by selling those NFT, and each time those NFT will be transferred, you will get extra fees. NFT metadata and files, for example, if we keep this idea of a set of pictures for a greenhouse, all those pictures won't be stored on Ethereum. Only the token ID will be stored in Ethereum, and all the files and metadata will be stored on another technology called IPFS, for Interplanetary File System, which is a distributed blockchain which purpose is only to store data. For example, this NFT has been sold $70 million as of today, and it might continue to raise. It's made by an artist called People Every Days. So let's say you take a JavaScript library, which is called web3.js. You use a Chrome extension, which is called MetaMask. MetaMask is a Chrome extension that allows you to communicate with the Ethereum blockchain or every main blockchain technologies. MetaMask will be able to communicate with Web3.js through a basic website. So tomorrow you can create a website, use Web3.js technology, and create interaction between your website and smart contracts. And so this creates what we call Dapps, or decentralized applications. And the use case for Dapps, I will tell you a bit more after. There is other blockchains that exist other than Ethereum. Ethereum costs a lot of money. It works on proof of work, so there is ecological problem after on this technology, and there is other technology which are faster and which allow you to create smart contracts without spending a lot of money for each smart contract execution. We have, for example, Avalanche, Elrond, Solana, Binance, and Polkadot. All those blockchains are mainly our main blockchains. Those are in the top 20 of the blockchains. And maybe if tomorrow you have projects you want to invest in, I think there rather be on those blockchains, whereas on Ethereum, because of the problem, congestion and price problem. So the key point is Ethereum's only ability to create and execute smart contracts. Deploying, storing, and executing smart contracts costs gas. The gas price is defined by supply and demand. EIP is a standard to suggest improvement, and it can lead to ERC, which are Ethereum standards. ERC20 standardized token, ERC721 NFTs. NFT is proof of ownership, and the creator of an NFT takes a fee each time the NFT is transferred. Other blockchains exist to bring new features and solve congestion problem. So now let's have some example about the first use case, which is DeFi for decentralized finance. So when Dapps were created, some people created smart contract to create token, but others created smart contract to say, oh, but I can create a program that allows someone to lend some money so that I can allow other people to borrow it with a fee. So they started to create a banking system completely decentralized, and that's what we call DeFi. One of the first who did that was Uniswap. They have a total value locked of $3.8 billion. So it's something. And the website is just very simple. You connect your wallet through your Chrome extension, and then you can swap, so exchange some ETH. I want to exchange some ETH for Shalom coin, for example. You can do that on Uniswap. You will have another one which has a higher total value locked, which is of 13 billions. this is a platform which is really great. You can lend some money and get some return on investment. For example, let's say you take USDT coin, which is what we call a stable coin. 1 USDT always equal $1. When you give 1 USD coin, you will get 3.13% of revenue plus 0.55 revenue given in AVE token. So this is a great platform to invest some money with a low risk. And then you have another well-done, which is called SushiSwap. It's basically the same as Uniswap, but with more features such as pool farming, staking. I won't go into detail because I don't want to be responsible for investments, but here are some platform. And now let's have a look at NFTs. NFT, I like this project a lot, which is a Patchwork Kingdom. You will find many projects around the world and around the web that feature NFT like pixel art or not really useful NFTs. This project is currently being launched. It has been done by a company called Giga, and with an artist who created based on a worldwide data set of internet access for schools, and they clustered all those information geographically, so they could say, okay, in Europe we'll have a lot of a school which has great access to internet, whereas in emerging country we can see that there is some schools with lower or poor internet access. And so they created all of those NFTs, and all the benefits of this sale will go to UNICEF to improve internet access for the school. So that's a very meaningful project for me, and it's a project for the greater good, and not only just to do money. There is another NFT project. I think this project is Piano King is a project which is more close to what you may have in Greenhouse in the future. Piano King is a website which features NFT for a single musician, and the idea is that when you buy an NFT, every NFT you buy will give you a special treatment, a special gift. For example, if you buy an NFT and it appears to be the king's birthday, you will be invited every year to the birthday of this musician. You can get, for example, another NFT, which is called the Royal Treasure Guardian, or where every time a new gift will be created by this artist, you will freely get a new copy. And there is also the Hero NFT, or you will get conversational letters directly from the artist into your box. There is also another project, which is a project that works to get donations for non-government organizations and to focus on gender equality, girls' education, mental health, and all this world. And so they created a collection of digital arts, and like Patchwork Kingdom, every NFT that is sold allows them to make a donation to a proper organization. And lastly, this is a project you will hear about. OpenSea, as of today, is the largest marketplace. For example, you can say you buy an NFT on Patchwork Kingdom and you want to make money out of it. You can go to OpenSea and resell it to the highest bidder. And that's all for blockchain. Thank you very much. I hope it was not too technical, and my English is not always that good, but I hope that I've been clear enough. So I would be very happy to answer all of your questions. Yes?
I get the difference between a coin and a token.
A coin, what we call the when you create a blockchain like Bitcoin, Ethereum, all the other projects. The first one was Avalanche. Their main coin is AVAX, etc., etc. All those blockchain create a digital currency to as a money to execute smart contracts. This is the money you will use to execute smart contract. This is the blockchain native coin. For Ethereum is here. For Avalanche is AVAX. For Elrond is Elrond Gold. All those blockchain has their own coin, and on all those blockchains you can create a smart contract to create your own token. It's basically the same. It's a coin, but it's not the native coin, and you cannot use this token to execute a smart contract. So, for example, if you go on Ethereum and you have some Shaloop coin, if you want to transfer those Shaloop coin from your wallet to another, you will need to pay the gas fee in Ether, always on the native coin, and the token is just a tokenization inside the smart contract, inside this blockchain. Is that?
So it's better to buy coins versus tokens.
Yeah, oh, sorry.
It's better to buy coins and not tokens. Right?
Yes, you can buy coins and you can buy tokens. For example, there is a token which is called DAI. The idea behind this token is that it will always, one DAI will always equals $1. We call it a stable coin. So, for example, when you want to go into the decentralized finance world, into DeFi, and you want to make some investment, you can invest coins natively, and the price can go up or and down, or you can just exchange all of it for stable coins, so that your money will be simply like dollars, and you will use those dollars into those investing platforms. That's a use case. Or you can use coin mainly for project like I explained, for example, for Shaloop coin. If you want to create a coin inside Shaloop, you could create it. It will be a token. It won't be a native blockchain coin.
Perfect. So we do have one question. Well, two questions coming in from Aurelian. So how should a company like Shaloop start investing in NFTs? What do you think would be the best business case? And how would we... Okay, we'll start with those two because he tends to like couple them. So there's like 4 different questions in one, and he's labeled it as one. But how should Shaloop start looking at NFTs, and what would be like a few business cases that we could look at?
I think when you will have some projects that leverage NFT, the first thing I'm going to answer in not exactly the question, but It would be too easy to say this is next project, you have to invest on it. But when you will have projects leveraging blockchain technology, smart contracts, etc. The first thing to check is that is it a project that is based on a current hype, and so something that may not last? Is it something that makes sense? For example, the project I decided to present you is, for me, meaningful project, but you can invest in projects where the only goal is to make a lot of money quickly. That's a use case. That's not who I am personally, but the way you are going to invest in NFT, I think, is going to be to make to create some value for. We have an idea of a workshop, for example, women at work. How can we use NFT to leverage to help women be more included in work? That could be done by using a model like Piano King, where you get 10 or 20 very famous women, and you create NFTs that gives you the right to have a lunch with one of them, or to have a private conversation, or to attend a special meeting, etc., etc. I think we are going to evolve through those concrete use cases. And as of today, I think digital art, there is a lot of hype in it. There is not really great and well-known artists. There is a lot of projects that tries to make a lot of money, but, I think NFT will going to be used more and more with proper business case. Like I work on a project in Paris where we build a web platform to manage all the company invoice, and we have an idea of creating NFTs for each invoice, so that it can be a proof of unicity and authenticity in this project. That's just an example.
So you will define the blockchain and all those technology based on the blockchain as technology tool and not a product that is at itself. So you still have to have a meaningful product to
Yes.
leverage that technology to.
Yes, I think this is I call it a software platform. So basically, it's the same question. Oh, I think we lost. Okay, it's basically the same as if I told you, okay, I give you a server, I give you a dev team. What product can you build? That's approximately the same thing. So the technology is quite different. The only projects that are meaningful to build on the blockchain is because it's project that can justify why the blockchain is useful to the project. And the blockchain is useful to eliminate every middleman. That's the foundation of Bitcoin. And to have an immutable, distributed, trusted, and decentralized ledger. Because everything you do on the blockchain, it is stored in it forever. So you don't have the right to you cannot delete afterward some smart contracts or programs or transactions.
So the second part of that question is more around what our competitors doing, but also how to be relevant on a global scale with no boundaries. So I think in that sense, it's kind of saying, how do we, as Shell Hoop Group, move forward with NFTs, but ensuring that they're relevant 5 years from now, 10 years from now? Is there particular things that we should be looking at to build in when we're investing?
I think in terms of, I think it's a complex question, because I'm not I'm not a visionary, not a vision of what it is going to be in 5 years, 10 years, or more. What I see every day, there is millions of dollars that are invested in projects leveraging NFTs and blockchain. And the blockchain I presented earlier, they all have their own investment. So, for example, Avalanche, when they launched, they created a fund of 200 millions to invest in projects using their technologies. And you have every day you have a lot of money which is raised. You will have use cases such as how to leverage blockchain technology in the supply chain industry, so that every object from warehouse number from the originating warehouse to the customer is perfectly tracked with the NFT, and we can have the proof you received the right product and not another one. That's the use case. I think mostly what you are doing, what you want to do here in Channel Group is how to leverage this technology for meaningful projects. And by that, I mean projects that make sense and not projects that are here only to make money. But I think I did not quite answer the question. But
it's fine. There are people actually. So Nick is it's writing all the stuff, use cases we're actually looking at in corporate innovation with Level and stuff, and Charmela's sharing some examples as well on the chat. So it's.
I think that's we've got a good team.
Someone asked about accepting crypto as payment. I guess there is a risk associated to that. And is it really big? Like, is it an opportunity, or is it just to show that you're cool or that you are technology friendly?
I will just
and that's all, folks. Joking.
He's coming back.
Good sign off. We're getting down to some of the other questions as well, but for anyone that's not looking into the chat, there's really good examples of how we're using NFTs within the organizations that Dina just mentioned there, that Nick and Charmela are putting in.
As of today, you can create, you can get a credit card, proper credit card. Don't picture the number. Yes, this is a card which is issued by an exchange called Binance. And I don't have any euros, I don't have any dollars. I have some crypto in it. And each time I pay with this card, I ordered by order of preference all the cryptos that are going to be spent each time I pay with this credit card. And when you pay, the transfer is automatically done inside the platform. So you may pay with crypto from this very Visa card.
But how come? Because it takes time, right? Usually you buy Ethereum, it takes time. How did they fix this kind of time to prove the transactions? You need to pay on the spot, right? And get it.
Yes, but when you pay, this card is issued by the major exchange in the world, which is called Binance. So Binance, they have your Ethereum, so you don't have they have your private key, they have all the information about your crypto, and the way they sell it, they won't actually sell it in the main blockchain. They will simply write in your system that the Ether you have, they are given back to them. And I will maybe be a bit more technical in this, but since Ether is really slow, there is what we call layer 2 technologies, which are blockchain that are created along Ethereum, and you can buy Ether on those blockchains. And those blockchains, once they have enough transactions, they pack the transactions and they send it to the network. So the information is split between the layer 2 and the main net and the main technology, and it allows you to have faster transactions. But basically, when you go on a site like Coinbase or Binance and you buy Ether with a credit card, you are buying it to Binance or to Coinbase, and they are storing your funds.
Wait, so when you pay with this credit card, the person you're paying, the merchant that you're paying, do they get Ether or do they get regular currency?
No, they get regular currency.
Okay.
The conversion is done.
So you can go into one of our stores now, use that credit card,
Yeah.
paying with crypto, but the store is receiving regular dirhams.
And as for the initial question, do you need to accept crypto? There is more and more business that starts accepting crypto. I think the best way to start accepting crypto is to accept what we call stable coins, because it's a low risk coins. You can there is Bitcoin, which is also allowed for some how do you say, some stores, but I think there is a high risk. Bitcoin is the first blockchain ever, so there is some chances that its value get back to zero, and there is some chances its value hit $100,000.
So the main idea in Web 3.0 is the decentralization, that
Yes.
you won't have big tech companies like Google, Facebook, and so on that leading the whole thing. So it's distributed and it's more democratic or whatsoever. But in the example you were saying on some of the blockchains like Binance, this is a company behind, and to be allowed to spend money in the real life, you have to go through those platforms, so they have this kind of proof that they are doing the middleman, that the blockchain was not.
Yes, today you're perfectly right. There is two main websites, Binance and Coinbase. Those are two big exchange, and yes, in fact, they act like the middleman in the blockchain. Everything I presented you was in the perfect life of a decentralized application. So, for example, if you go to Binance or Coinbase, you will need to make a KYC. You will need to upload your ID card, to have a picture and to register a video of you to get access to this account. So you won't be totally anonymous, but you can buy crypto on those platforms and then transfer it to a wallet where you can do pretty much everything you want and be in the decentralized world.
We have another question on should we buy a virtual land?
There is a lot of company buying some virtual land. There is some project. This is a part I did not include in the presentation, which is called the metaverse. The metaverse is all the world, the virtual world and parallel world we are creating, so that I have this watch in real life. If I want to get this watch also in the metaverse, I will need to pay. It will be an NFT, so that my avatar in the metaverse will be able to wear it. So that's a basic example. So we can say it's crazy. So there is I think it was Adidas, which bought like $12 million of land in the metaverse.
In one project? It's a specific project. there is not such of one thing. It's
No.
many things, and you
Yes.
choose what you.
Well, metaverse basically already existed in the social game, which is well known, which is called Second Life. Yes, Second Life was the metaverse, and when we talk about metaverse and the future metaverse, we will bring more cash, and we will leverage blockchain technology, and so there will be more people in it. So should we buy land? In my point of view, those projects are not developed enough, but you can also invest in it because you will get the cheapest land right now, and when it will be fully developed, it will cost a higher price. But that's kind of a use case I don't look into much because for me, I don't want to be in the metaverse. I want to be in real life. Yeah, I think it's cooler.
So we have another question from May, and she's asking, and I think this is more related to crypto, but is it true some governments and financial institutions are actively working to stop or slow down how widely adopted the technology is?
Oh, yes, concretely, yes, perfectly. There is every country in the world has its own policy about crypto. On one side, you will have, for example, Salvador, which is a country which invested a lot of the government money in bitcoins to create what we call some country buy gold, Salvador buy Bitcoin. So for their what you call Federal Reserve. And whereas, for example, in the UK, they are only working on technology to be able to track for each individual what they do with the currency. For example, if you are a Bitcoin miner and you retrieve Bitcoin through the peer-to-peer network, the money you have, you can transfer between wallets. It will be very hard to say, okay, this is this person who owns the Bitcoin. If you buy your Bitcoins on Binance or on Coinbase, you may do KYC. Those institutions need to report to governments about what is going on their platform. So you are somehow tracked when you acquire coins from those platforms. And I think a country and a state like Dubai is a good place for crypto because they do not ban it. And whereas the way Dubai works is attractive to Bitcoin holders. I was talking with a main founder of a magazine called Journal Bitcoin in France, and he decided to come and to live in Dubai to make his own investment because in France we need to pay a fee of 30% of what we win for. So it depends. There is government that will make some policy about taxation. They will have government that say, okay, go do what you want, and for example in China they ban the use of I think it was the Bitcoin and the miners. So each country has its own policy, and there is I believe today when you create a company, you need to create a company in a country. I think Bitcoin and all those blockchain technology will allow to create, for example, a company in the decentralized world. I think in maybe 10 or 20 years, you will be able to create your company and have a company number which is in the decentralized world and not attached to a country.
I think there was,
Maybe the last one.
yeah, from Nick, you just got it in. So Nick heads up our corporate innovation. And he has asked, what is your opinion on setting up a Muse coin? Oh,
It's not familiar with
Muse is our loyalty program. So creating a coin for our loyalty members, basically.
Yes, there was one project I was talking about with Benoit yesterday. I have one idea, which is to create a coin and a coin which will be used for rewarding people inside an organization. Let's say, depending on your managing level or other criteria, you get each month a fixed number of tokens. So this is the tokenization part, and then you create like e-commerce-like website with goods and with NFT, so that you will be able to sell and to buy internally your coins for these goods. And I missed the most important part. When you get coins, the only thing you can do with it is to transfer it as a sign of recognition or a sign of thank you for working with me. I really appreciate you. You're good people. I give you 10 coins, and only coins that have been transferred would be used to buy some goods or some to assist to an event, or that was an idea that was making sense to me.
That's the same as a point. It doesn't have to be like it doesn't have to be a cryptocurrency or part of a blockchain. It's just getting points and using them in exchange for other stuff.
The idea behind it, the idea behind it is to give a transparent framework to everyone, so you don't change the rule in the meantime. Thank you very much, Charles. So for everyone online, for everyone online, sorry with this COVID thing that we can't stick together, but you're all welcome to come at the greenhouse so we can talk more about that. See if we can, if there is value to build some project on that technology and try to test it. So you're welcome, and don't hesitate to send us questions if you can't pass by. Thank you very much.
Thank you.